Hey there, class. It's Mrs. Matheson, and we're going to go into Unit 5, Note 2. Today we're going to talk about graphing those quadratics. Let's take a little review from yesterday and look at just figuring out some information from this quadratic we're given. It says y equals negative x squared plus 6x plus 4. So our first step was to start off by identifying our a, b, and c. There's not a number written in front of a, but we want to remember that it's -1. Our b is 6, and our c is 4. Finding the vertex, we start off with our x-coordinate, which remember is opposite b over 2a. This also happens to be the axis of symmetry. So our opposite b is going to give us -6 over 2 times -1. So -6 divided by -2. Our vertex, our x-coordinate 3, and so that's also our axis of symmetry. We're going to plug that 3 back in and find our y. Now, when you're doing this first piece here, we need to square and then times it by the negative. So that's going to give us -9. 6 times 3 gives us 18 plus 4. So -9 plus 18 plus 4 is going to give us 13. The y-intercept, remember, is our constant. So it's that term without the variable of 4. And to determine if it opens up or opens down, we take a look at our a term, so the number in front of our x squared term, and that's a negative. Therefore, this opens down. So just a little review from yesterday. All right, so let's go ahead into steps for graphing quadratics. There are 3 big steps to remember for graphing quadratics, and then each of those have some little bits to fill in. So first is find the vertex. First thing we need to do is find our x-coordinate, and remember we do that by opposite b over 2a. This is review from yesterday. Then we're going to plug that into our original function and solve it to find the y-coordinate of that vertex. And our last step is to write it as an ordered pair. So nothing new with that. So let's try to find the vertex on problem 2, and then we'll go into the next 3 steps. So take a look here. First, let's identify what a, b, and c are, just to have it down for ourselves. A is -3, b is 6, and c is 4. All right, so to find the x-coordinate of our vertex, we're going to do opposite b over 2 times a. So this turns into -6 divided by -6. So our x term is 1. So vertex is 1, comma. Now we're going to plug that 1 back in to find our y. So -3 times 1 squared plus 6 times 1, that's 6 plus 4. 1 squared here gives us 1, so we're going to ignore that. -3 plus 6 plus 4 is going to be 7. So we have our vertex. We've completed step 1 for graphing our quadratics. Nothing new here. So let's go to step 2. Step 2 talks about making a table. When we make our table, we're going to start with our vertex. So that's easy. We've already got that. And then step B says find other values. I like to use this and think about finding 2 values to the left and 2 values to the right of the x-coordinate. Let's create our table for problem 2. Remember, pause the video if you haven't gotten those steps written down. So I'm going to plug my vertex in to my table, and it's going to be my middle one. And let's just go ahead and graph that so we can see it. Now, when I'm referring to 2 to the right and 2 to the left, so if our vertex is here with 1, 2 to the right, I'm going to do 2, and I'm going to do 3. 2 to the left is 0 and -1. This is going to give me an idea what happens on the left side and what happens on the right side. So go ahead and pause and fill in the rest of the table. Remember, to find our y, you need to plug it back into our original equation. So make sure you're plugging your x values in there. Pause the video, fill those out. All right, check your answers with my table and see that we got the same thing. If you didn't, pause it, go back in, do some plugging in, and figure it out. All right, so let's go to step 3 now. Step 3 says graph the function, and you're going to graph the values from XY chart. B and C are going to be uncovered after problem 3. So let's go ahead and just graph the function for problem 2. Back to problem 2 here. We're going to graph our other points. So we've already graphed our vertex. So let's graph our points starting at the top. So -1, go over -1, and down 5. Okay, then our 0, and then we're up 4. We have our vertex. Then we're going to go over 2 and up 4. And then we're over 3 and down 5. Last, don't forget to connect and add some arrows to the end because parabolas go on for forever. All right, to example 3. Ooh, before we go to example 3, it says, don't forget, this is the bottom of the notes on the front side. The graph will open up when A is greater than 0, and the graph will open down when A is less than 0. This is a good thing to keep in the back of your mind so that when you're going through and doing your problems, if you know it should open down and you're opening up, that there's something that you've done incorrectly. Okay, so let's go to problem 3. Let's start off with finding our vertex. So you're going to do the x-coordinate first. So opposite B over 2 times A. So our x-coordinate, oops, not -2, sorry, is -1. All right, plug -1 in. Don't forget when you're squaring -1 that you are putting it in parentheses. So our vertex, doing those calculations, we get -1, 0. This is the middle of our table. I'm going to have you guys finish that for tomorrow and make sure that you are checking, is our graph supposed to open up or open down? So pause the video and then let's go to uncover those steps. All right. Now we're going to look at using that axis of symmetry we talked about yesterday. Axis of symmetry is that imaginary line in our parabola that we can fold it on and we can see that the graph will be congruent or symmetric on each side. So B is going to be draw the axis of symmetry and C is going to mirror the points on the other side. Let's head to problem 4 and try that out. Okay, so now you see I don't have a table. We're going to not use a big table like we did. So let's start off, same steps, is start with finding the vertex. Okay, so we're looking for our ordered pair. X is opposite B. B is -2, so that makes it a +2, over 2 times our A, which is 1. Our X value is 1. We're going to plug that back in to find our Y value. So we have 1 squared minus 2 times 1 minus 8. Doing those calculations, we find out that it's a -7. Okay, we're going to make our XY chart, make our table, but we don't need to do out 5 values. This is where using that axis of symmetry is going to help us. We're only going to need to come up with 2 more. So we start with our vertex. And I'm going to graph that for us. So we go over 1, and we're going to go down. Oops, my vertex is not -7. It's a -9. So let's make that adjustment. I hope you caught that. There we go. All right, so we go over to 1 and down 9. Ooh, not on the graph, but we can draw it. So now, instead of doing 2 points to the left and 2 points to the right, we're going to either do just 2 points to the left or 2 points to the right. So I had it 1, so I'm going to do problems for 2 and for 3. Okay, so pause the video, plug back in, 2 in for X and 3 in for X, and come on back. All right, check your values. Did you get -2 and -5? We're going to go ahead and graph those. So, or -2, we should start over. 2 goes with -8, and 3 goes with -5. Now we've graphed our table values, and if you go back to your notes, your steps, step 3 says graph the values from the XY chart. Then it says draw our axis of symmetry. So we're going to draw our axis of symmetry. What we are going to use that for is to draw our other points on the other side of the parabola. If we see here that this point is 1 away from our axis of symmetry, we're going to do one that is 1 away on the other side. So we have a point here. We see that this one is 2 away, so we're going to go 2 away. Now notice I'm going 2 away from the axis of symmetry. So I actually didn't have to calculate those points, but we know that those points are there because of the axis of symmetry. All right, so try problem 5 on your own, and we'll do that tomorrow in class, and just check how you did with it. Then we have 2 more word problems here. These word problems, 6, I want you to graph 6, and then we'll talk about what does it mean for the answer. And then 7 has nothing to do with graphing, but our finding the vertex is going to help us answer those questions. Don't forget to go on in and take your Schoology quiz, and we will see you guys later.